Hey everyone, today I'm going to go through and flip through my trades with you. In this part, I'll be going through all of my superhero selections, and in another part, I'll flip through my fantasy or non-superhero books, just so that it's not too long. And I'm really hoping that I can get through all of these books in one video. However, I do have a neighbor who has a loud dog who loves to come out during these videos, so it might be cut into separate parts if he decides to make an appearance. So, let's see. Okay, I'm going to be showing you my big books first. And these omnibuses I got on super sale the first time I ever walked into a comic shop. I was a little overwhelmed, even though I had a list with me. And the woman there suggested these two books, which were on super sale. At the time, I didn't realize what a great deal I was getting. And omnibuses are great because you get a lot of story. So this book comes with about 40 issues. And here are all the covers that you can see. So we've got his origin in here, and Green Goblin, the Kingpin, Dr. Octopus, Craven, and some Venom. So lots of different stories. This is written by Brian Michael Bendis, who I think is a great writer for kids or for people of all ages. So this would be a great book for younger people or people who have never read the original stories, just because again, this is his origin and kind of a reimagining of the world. I've got a few stickies marking pages. I really like Mary Jane in this version. She's like Spider-Man's best friend, and you really like her. Normally, they make Mary Jane a pretty lame character. I also really enjoy the design of the Green Goblin. He looks kind of like a roided out version. Very big and tough. So very colorful artwork. Spider-Man is definitely one of my favorites. How could he not? I received Dr. Octopus. Doc Ock, one of my favorites. Here we have Nick Fury. So, lots of story. And I really do hate book jackets. One day I'm going to go crazy and just rip all of these book jackets off of my books. But today is not that day. Alright, next book, Ultimate Avengers. And the Avengers aren't my favorite characters. I don't tend to gravitate towards them. However, their movie, the Avengers movie, has definitely raised my interest. And this isn't necessarily my favorite genre of comic. It's kind of dark and gritty, and I can see how some people would really like it, but it's just not for me. My goal is maybe one day to gift this to a person who would enjoy it. Someone maybe who's just starting out and wants to start their own collection. So we have 4 storylines. The first storyline has to do with Captain America and the Red Skull. There he is. Let's see, the second story has to do with Knight Rider. And I really enjoy Knight Rider. I like any character that's dark and supernatural, really. There he is. Actually, there's it's like a second guy. It's not him. And the Punisher is in here as well. Alright, so the next story has to do with vampires. So we have Blade involved here. This is really funny. He's having a dream about killing Edward from Twilight. I like that. I like this picture. And the last story is like an epic conclusion. Where we have an Avengers team versus another Avengers team. So, lots of action going on. Alright, New Avengers. I got this book on sale. Well, I got all of these books on sale, so I don't want to keep saying that. But I found it in my local store. Has like a bin of trades for super cheap old trades, and I got this in hopes that it would be a good pick for a kid. I want to be able to have books that if a child wants to read, I would be able to lend it out to them. I don't want to have all super adult books. However, I don't know if I would really recommend this one to a kid because it's got lots of characters and you kind of need to know what's going on in the Avengers world. We have a spiritual or supernatural event going on in this book, so we have Doctor Strange involved and other spiritual characters. Something I like is whenever they cast a spell, they'll list the spell name and like what book it comes from. I don't know, I just think that's an interesting touch. So on the cover here we have Spider-Man, Wolverine, Luke Cage, Miss Marvel, and The Thing. Next, Elektra. I like this book. It's kind of different. The pictures are different, very stylized. You have like very interesting uses of color. This story has to do a lot with mind control, bringing people back from the dead as robots. So here you can see they use this technique a lot. Very soft watercolors. Trying to find a cool picture. Another thing that they do is like whenever you see this guy's face, who's the bad guy, you just see this cutout, which is just really a cool detail. Here we have some very dark imagery. It says, in the beginning there was darkness, endless cold, then came the corruption, the poison, light, life, flesh. And the caption there says, "And I wait." There's a lot of cool pictures in here. This is the one I wanted to show you. I really like this one. And he's saying, "You know, honey, we never talk." And that's because Elektra can speak to you without necessarily talking. So, kind of interesting. I'm also excited to read the trade of the new run on Elektra when it comes out. I hear the artwork in there is very beautiful. One of my favorites is She-Hulk. I just love She-Hulk as a character. She definitely is one of my favorites. If you don't know a lot about her, she is also a lawyer. She's actually a lawyer first, superhero second. And what's very cool is that she can choose to change between her Hulk and her human form most of the time, and she generally stays as the She-Hulk, which, why wouldn't you? So this is a pretty decently thick book, and I love everything about it. The artwork is really great. The cover artwork is different from what you will see inside the panels, but I think both are very representative of what they need to do. The inside artwork is just very appealing to me. Maybe especially for girls. I don't know, I just really like it. So, in here we have Jennifer Walters, going through some rough times in life. And she's hired to work at a law firm for superheroes, so she has to handle all these interesting cases that most people wouldn't have to do. And I don't know, adventure ensues. I really like the cast of characters involved too. Amazing Andy is just great. And I really find myself laughing aloud as I read this comic. And there is a second volume that I have to get of this as well because I just love it so much. Alright, here is the trade of the new run on She-Hulk, which I do love. I just found out though that this was cancelled, so that's kind of upsetting. There's gonna be, I think, one more trade and then that's it, I guess. But this is great. I got this pretty much as soon as it came out in trade form because I love She-Hulk. I wanted to support her. And the artwork in here I love as well. Here it recommends the book I just showed. And again, the cover art is a lot different from the panel art, but I kind of enjoy that because I think the cover art does a really good job, as well as the panels do a good job of the story. It's just really good storytelling. And at first I didn't think I would like it, but it really grew on me. Again, hilarious. In this book, Jennifer Walters is starting her own law firm. So she has to deal with all the issues of, starting your own business, and it's just really great. Here we have Hellcat. And look at that picture. So funny. Looks so cat-like. I really like when trades include the variants as well in the books. And again, a great cast of characters. Very funny. Here she's talking with Daredevil, getting some lawyer advice. Next up, Hawkeye. I really like the artwork in this one. And not only the artwork, but the colors. It's just really great. You'll find whole pages of just different color schemes. Orange and purple is one that's used a lot. And this picture looks like it's just ripped right out of the Avengers movie. So I liked this book. I know some people either really, really don't like it or really, really like it. And I enjoyed it. I think it's fun, and again, it's worth it for the artwork for me. I like Kate Bishop as well. Kind of some fun, silly Hawkeye adventures. We also have a story about Kate Bishop from the Young Avengers. I have the second volume as well. Again, great artwork. And I guess it's in the second volume that, I don't know, some of the stories just got a little too silly for me. But it's still really good. In this issue, it's entirely told from the dog's perspective. So, if I can find it. It's Pizza Dog, and pizza is my business. So, kind of funny. Pizza Dog. Here you can see the layouts and the color guide. So how great is this? I don't know. I really like the color work. Thor. Again, I don't gravitate towards the Avengers characters, but I've heard that these stories are really good, so I had to pick them up. And this one is just a great fantasy story, so if you like fantasy, and it's just, it's really good. My only complaint is that it's very thin and short. It's a story about a guy, or I guess a monster you could call him. There he is. This is very creepy looking. And he's going around killing gods. So pretty serious stuff. And this story is just really good. I need to go back and read it because it's been quite some time. And I also really need to get the second volume because I want to know what happens. I don't know why I haven't gotten it yet. I think it's just because whenever I go pick up books, I just always forget to look in the Thor section. But I really do have to reread this and continue the story. Okay, I have Astonishing X-Men, the first 3 volumes, and I got these all when I found them on sale because I love the run by Joss Whedon. He does the first 4 volumes of Astonishing X-Men, and after that it's still pretty good, but these are all just really good X-Men stories. They're really solid. The first one has to do with, it kind of follows the plot of one of the X-Men movies. I'm not sure which one, but the one where they find the cure for the mutant disease. So that's what this one's based on, except for it has a little more going on. Well, a lot more going on, I'd say. So a really good story. So our team here involves Cyclops, of course, Emma Frost, Wolverine, Kitty, and Beast. In our second volume, our story continues. However, this time we're focused on the Danger Room, and this is where we first meet Danger. So if you like her, this is where she comes from. Again, a great story. And in our third book, we have the start of the story with the Hellfire Club. And I think that story continues to the 4th book. So Joss Whedon, if you didn't know, is the director of the Avengers movie, and he wrote these stories. There are some really funny moments in this one, actually, and some really intense moments as well. So I would definitely hand these books out to any X-Men fans, just because they're good stories on their own, and you don't really have to have read other books to know what's going on. Alright, I have Uncanny X-Men, volumes 1, 2, and 3. And these aren't my favorite stories. They're actually not bad, but just not my favorite. I got them because they were ridiculously on sale. And I really don't prefer hardback. We've got a good team here. I like it because at one point Storm says, who here has never been a full-fledged villain before? And like no one could raise their hand. So we have Cyclops and Emma, Hope, Namor, Magic, Colossus, Storm, Danger, and Magneto. Second volume. I do not like this artist, so I'm going to try not to talk badly about them. Third book, and I guess this is where I get my disappointment from, because the other two stories weren't that bad. But this looks like it's going to be epic, and it's kind of boring, a bit of a letdown. Maybe the fourth book won't be as bad, which I am still going to get just so I have all four. Look at the skinny She-Hulk arms. That is not She-Hulk. Alright, these are probably some of my favorite X-Men stories, the classics. I start reading right when they introduce the new X-Men. So this is volume 1 of when they come into the picture. So we have Storm, Colossus, Wolverine, Nightcrawler, and we have Cyclops sticking around for the team as well. And I've read all these stories as the Essentials. And if you don't know, the Essentials are really big books, so they have a lot of story, but the pictures are in black and white. So I knew that when I owned the stories, I would definitely want them in color. So I buy the Masterworks rather than the Essentials. So even though it is more expensive, I think it's worth it. Especially with the X-Men, they have all their bright colors and uniforms. And these are just really good stories. I think I've reread these several times. As you can see, I'm rereading this book again. And they just really hold up. They're written in the 70s. So that's great. I can't wait to have all of the Masterworks. And I just love, the covers and how back in the day they would advertise, like the next story and why you have to read, what characters will be in there. I love that comics were only 25 cents and that you get so much more story. So if you're someone who really likes the new comics, they're kind of more like pictures with words. These are more like, reading light. There's a lot more reading, which I really like. I like both. So lots of different things going on in just this one book. This is where I am. So, X-Men versus X-Men in a battle to the death, betrayed by Professor X. How fun does this sound to read? These are all the stories. Giant Size X-Men is a classic. That's where all these new X-Men were introduced. Wolverine, the best there is. There's a second book to this as well, so I need to get that so I can finish this story. And I'm not a huge Wolverine fan, but I know that Wolverine is really popular. So I like to have like a nice mix of different things, just in case anyone ever asks me to read something, I have something to give them. I don't know if that's silly or not, but... And this one I feel a lot of people would like. It's very dark, and it's kind of perfect for Wolverine. Very bloody and adult. Wolverine and the X-Men. I never thought I would get this either. However, I've read most of this run on at the library, and I enjoyed it way more than I thought, so I did pick up this first one. It's really good. It's about Wolverine starting his own mutant school, so I find that very interesting when characters, develop and do new and different things. The artwork in here is fun. Okay, Kick-Ass. This is a good book, and the movie is really good as well. Normally, I don't like when they adapt a book into a movie just because you already know how the story's going to go, so you have certain expectations. You just can't help it. But the movie was really good, and even though this story is based on two children, it is definitely for adults only. It is very bloody. And the comic is a lot more dark than the movie. Let's see, Hit Girl. And here's a scene that you might recognize. Hit Girls are really cool. The main changes they make of the movie are towards the end. Superman Action Comics. This actually isn't mine, but it's in my stack because it's my friend's. They bought it because they are a big Superman fan, and I didn't know anything about this story, but I know who Grant Morrison is, and I know that he's a really good writer. So I was like, yeah, get it. And this isn't that good. Just kind of boring. Nothing really happens. And I feel really bad because if you can see, my friend is still reading the book. So they didn't even finish it. So kind of upsetting. Alright, this is one of my favorites. I'm actually going to feature this in a separate video. I'm going to flip through it just because I have a lot of feelings on this book. It's written by Grant Morrison and illustrated by Frank Wiley. Here on the cover we can see this glorious image of Superman. This book was given to me as a gift. It's actually my first graphic novel ever, and I really like it. I'm glad too because they gave it to me in one book. You can get it in 2 separate volumes too, but I like having the story all in one place. And the artwork in here is just truly beautiful. I am not a Superman fan at all, but this made me really like him. Some very sad moments in this book as well. I found myself crying quite often in this book. Wonder Woman, one of my favorite characters. Just love everything Wonder Woman. My goal is to read everything Wonder Woman, hopefully own all my favorite Wonder Woman stories. Gail Simone is one of my favorite writers. I've read her whole run on Wonder Woman, so I eventually plan on owning all the books as well. We see we have some guerrilla action in this story. And when Wonder Woman is well realized and done right, I think she is just a great character. I have the first 2 volumes from the New 52 run on Wonder Woman, and this run just ended, actually, so as you can tell, I'm really far behind. I need to get 2 more books, and the only reason why I don't have all these books, why I'm like far behind on a lot of stories, is just because I'm not a gazillionaire, or else I would definitely have all of these books. So I like this story, and I'm glad that a lot of people like this story, because a lot of people always think Wonder Woman's lame, so I'm glad that a lot of people can read about it. And pretty cool because it focuses on her Greek mythology roots, which I think is a great idea. I definitely think they should do this for a movie, because I am a history major, and I know whenever I tell anyone that, they always say that they don't like history, but that they are really interested in Greek mythology. So I know that there's an interest for it. And I love the artwork in here. The colors are great. Some great covers too. In the second volume, So we've got great dark story. And I always love seeing the interpretation of the different Greek gods by different people and different artists. I find it really interesting. Batman Hush. This is the only Batman story I own, and that's just because I have been able to read, I feel like, almost everything I've wanted at the library. I swear, whoever picks out the books there is a Batman fan, or however that works, because I'm very thankful for all the stories that are there. And even if I was a little more patient, I'm sure I would have been able to find this one as well, because since I've gone back, I've seen it. However, I think this is a great one to own. It's a great mystery story, which I think all Batman stories should be. And it has great artwork. It's by Jim Lee. I feel like his artwork is very appealing to a large number of people. We have a lot of characters popping up in this story too. Almost everyone makes an appearance. This is kind of like a famous picture. You like see it on shirts and things. Harley Quinn robbing an opera. Only Harley Quinn, right? So we've even got some Joker, the Riddler, all the Batman villains. Batwoman. This is one of my favorite books. It's really great. The artwork in here is just something else. J.H. Williams III. And he not only has one style of artwork, he does two, which is pretty amazing. To have one style is amazing, but to be able to do two completely different styles, it's incredible. And I'll show you those two styles. So when she's Batwoman, we have it's very dark watercolors, I guess you could say. I don't really know how to describe it. And we have really fun use of the panels. You'll see very different things. And then when she's Kate Kane, we see a more classic art style. So very cool. Some really great picture storytelling in here. And Batwoman is definitely one of my favorite characters. Most of the Batman characters is kind of grounded in like the real world overall, I would say. However, Batwoman does deal with supernatural elements. So this graphic novel is great. If anyone wants to read about the character, it's got, a little bit her origin. This picture is like right out of a movie. When you see Batman offering his hand. her looking up into the sky and seeing the bat signal. I also have Volume 1 of the New 52 Batwoman. J.H. Williams writes this as well. And again, great artwork. This book is about La Lorena, or Yorena. I should be able to pronounce that better. It took several years of Spanish. And it's like a urban legend, or old story about the crying woman who kidnaps children. So we've got some beautiful water imagery. Really want to get the next volume in this one. Alright, and last up is Batgirl. I like Batgirl as a character, and I like Gail Simone as a writer, so I thought this was a match made in heaven. However, I do have several issues with this run, which I hate because I want to love it, but I can't love it. So I have Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3, and this really bothers me that I have this version in paperback and these in hardback. It bothers me so much. And again, these, I don't know if it's just that the stories were too disjointed, or they just didn't reflect too much on her past as Oracle. I don't know, because what they did is they changed it so she did still get paralyzed by the Joker, but now she was able to have like a miracle operation and she recovered. So I don't know, it's hard for me to believe that she just had this intense operation and she's already, getting hit in the spine and beating up bad guys. I don't know. But it's disappointing because I feel like it does have a lot of potential. DC just recently relaunched Batgirl, so we'll see what they do with that. In the second volume, she even runs into Batwoman, which should be great, but a little underwhelming. Let's see if I can find it. There they are. So I love it when Batwoman comes in, kind of adds some stylistic panels. This does have a 0 issue, though. That's pretty good. Then Death of the Family. Again, they had a lot of potential for this story because the Joker is the one that put her in her wheelchair. And of course they did address it, but I just felt like they could have done a little more. So thank you so much for watching. I apologize if I rushed through this a bit. I might have mentioned that I filmed this video several times prior, and I spent my time and talked about each book a lot, and all the videos were compromised by my neighbor's barking dog, which is just highly distracting and not relaxing. So I managed to get through my whole stack without the barking dog, and now I feel like I kind of rushed through things, but that's okay. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully you'll check out my next part as well, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for watching.